Hi, my name is Erin Chambless, and I'm a candidate for a master's in library media specialist at the University of West Alabama. This is my signature project, stage 2. I did the original research on the effects of classroom book clubs on standardized reading test scores. I discovered the original problem as an ELA teacher in my first year at Elkmont High School. I taught all the freshman classes and realized that approximately 85% of them told me that they do not enjoy reading and have no idea what type of literature they might actually enjoy. And this was reflected in their low star reading test scores. This is a graphic representation of the star reading scores of Elkmont ninth graders in August of 2022. Each bar inside the colors represents one student's scores. This graphic breaks down those scores into what each color means. So as you can see, only 5 students scored at or above benchmark, 15 are on watch, which means they just need to be monitored closely to make sure they do not fall behind, but they're doing okay. But then 43 scored at needs intervention and 25 need urgent intervention. So if you look at that data in terms of percentages, you can combine the 17 and 16 and see that only 23% of the students scored on watch or at or above benchmark, that they are reading about where they should be, and 77% are at needing some type of intervention. And of all of those 100% of students, 85% reported to their English teacher that they don't do any reading for pleasure. They don't know what kind of books they may enjoy. They hate being told that they need to read. I began to research this issue. I realized this is not just at Elkmont. It is a nationwide issue. Nationwide leisure reading is an all-time low, and it particularly falls off during the middle grades and really manifests itself in high school. So I thought if we could get these students to enjoy reading and read for pleasure, then their test scores would probably improve, as indicated by the Raphael and McMahon study. So it possibly, if we have classroom book clubs that mimic the type of reading for pleasure book clubs that many people enjoy outside of a school setting, then maybe this would improve their test scores. The research plan of action was to use these book clubs on the experimental group and see how it impacted their star reading scores. As seen in a previous graph, there are approximately 90 freshman students at Elkmont High School. In the graph, I believe 88 took the STAR test, so there are about 90. So this will be split in half for the sampling. There are 4 classes, and they're pretty evenly divided as far as numbers as well as demographics. So there will be 45 students in the control group and approximately 45 students in the experimental group. Since the approximately 90 students are already divided into 4 class periods, periods 1 and 5 will be the experimental group, and periods 3 and 7 will be the control group. The instrument to be used will be the STAR reading test produced by Renaissance. These are widely used as diagnostic tests for reading comprehension throughout the United States. Administrative duties will be the typical duties of administration. These tests are already given to students, so it will continue as planned. The English teacher will work on the weekly lesson plans, and the standards for both groups will be the same. They will be working on the same standards. They will simply have different literature. You can see here the procedures really are the same with both groups. They will attend their regularly scheduled ELA classes, and they will have the same teacher, and they will take the same STAR test. The difference will be the literature to be read. For example, the control group may read the traditional Romeo and Juliet as their play, whereas the experimental group may read something more modern, but still a play. For example, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. The most recent Harry Potter installment is written as a play. So that could be used. So they will receive the same instruction, just different literature. To ensure the validity of the sample, we will use STAR tests by Renaissance. Those are widely used and recognized, and they'll be given multiple times. There'll be a baseline in August, and then they will be tested in November and May, and both groups will have the same tests and the same teachers. There are some limitations that could present themselves: chronic absenteeism, lack of consent. EL learners may or may not benefit if an extensive language barrier exists or if there is any potential teacher bias. There's little to no risk to students in this experiment. They will be assigned a random number to maintain their confidentiality, and the STAR data for both groups, as always, will be confidential within the school and the parents. The experiment will also pose no threat to special populations such as IEP and 504 students, as well as English language learners, as their individual education plans will be followed and they will receive the same instruction they have been, only the literature will be different. The experiment will have an institutional review board with the following members to maintain the safety of the students and ensure the validity of the study. The STAR test taken in August will be used as a baseline for both groups, and then both groups will take the test again in November and May to measure the results. I was unable to fully implement this study, but I did do a preliminary version of it in which I had each student fill out a commitment card and what they plan to read on their own, and then come back ready to discuss it in class. And when given these opportunities to pick the literature on their own, they did a great job with it. We did it on Fridays where they would read something throughout the week and then they would come in and discuss what they read on Friday. So it kind of remains to be seen whether this type of thing improves their STAR test scores, but I hope that it will. The timeline that I originally put on this study was 3 months, but I really think it would take a full school year to see how the implementation of book clubs affects these students. Also, I would like to have a specific club for beginning English language learners with book choices that would assist them and see how that affects their English language development. Very little research on the long-term results of these book clubs, and I would like to know if these students maintained their renewed interest in reading, then did their test scores continue to improve? And I would also like to see the effects on special populations such as special education students and English language learners. Thank you for your time, and I hope you benefited from this research presentation.